Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Please let us know if you can hear us okay. I hope that everybody is having a good evening. We know that there's going to be a little of a time delay, so we're going to... Hi, Savannah.
Hi, Savannah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we wanted to kick this off, this meeting, this live time with you tonight. We wanted to kick it off with a toast to you. And we wish you the best in this coming year. May your year be healthy, safe, and prosperous. Cheers. Thank you, Savannah.
Thank you, Savannah.
She provided a beverage, not alcohol, beverage. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we have snacks provided by Birdie Box Bird Choice. You know, our favorite toys. As a matter of fact, we got to get around to getting some toys. We've been a little lax in doing, so this is what I'm going to be snacking on tonight. What she sent us in a little present, little box. I'm sure you got yours too. She treats everyone well. Okay, so we're actually having a town hall to talk about what we did this year, and Brianna is going to kick it off with her ED report, or executive director's report, and then I will then take you into 2023. So take it away, Bri.
All right, I'm going to start off with the executive director's report. Please let us know if you can hear us okay.
Or if there's any problems.
We're
assuming that there's no problems right now.
You know how going live is. There's always going to be something that happens. So I wanted to start off with that we currently have 164 birds in the rescue. And that in the last year...
Sorry.
Okay, good. They're saying that they can hear us well.
Okay, good.
Awesome. So we have brought in 94 birds, or 95 actually, as of just last week, birds into the rescue. And we've had 51 adopted out, which is over 50%. So I am quite happy about that. I wanted to touch on volunteering. We are so excited for a new year and to be reaching out to new people and having new people join our volunteer crew. Hey, Connor. Hey, Tio. Gotta do shout outs. And we are excited that soon we are going to be offering our class, our volunteer class, in both Spanish and in English. Savannah, I need to send you an email about that. Have her help us with that. Savannah is one of our amazing volunteers. Not only does she provide this, but she volunteers from a distance with us. She's all the way in Chile now. We miss her a whole lot. So I am hoping that you guys will be able to join us in the new year to be volunteering. Wanted to touch on for vetting. We are so excited. We have been working with Dr. Graham. She's at the Huntsville Veterinary Specialist and Emergency in Huntsville, Alabama. Now you're asking me, why am I going all the way to Alabama to get vet? Well, she is a board-certified avian vet. There are no board-certified avian vets in the state of Georgia.
That is practicing.
So we started to search and started to reach out. We reached out to a couple people in Tennessee and close by, and everybody either is not accepting new clients right now,
but we like her.
But
hands down.
Oh yeah,
we really love her.
Now we have started to see Dr. Graham, and she has been wonderful to work with. So we're putting the Papayago stamp of approval on her. So if you are in need of advanced imaging, or that special case workup, or you just want to do your yearly with a board certified avian vet, she's the one we're recommending for our Georgia folks and for our Alabama folks. So for accomplishments, we are so happy to announce our final numbers for the 2022 pledge drive. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our first ever pledge drive. I would say that it was a rounding success.
Yeah.
Our final numbers are $29,994. We made it, guys. Not only did you guys meet our 28,000 goal, you beat it. And we are so, so grateful for you guys. This is going to be really awesome for going into the new year, for when Maria starts to talk about all the things that we have planned. Speaking of financials, one of the things that we wanted to touch on is that we were looking through some of the things that money goes to. The top one actually is our rent and utilities. That is where the most amount of money is spent at the rescue. But not far behind is personnel, training, and vetting. Vetting includes routine and non-routine.
It's not in the same category though.
Sorry.
So it's 26% of that money goes to the personnel and training. And then the next is 16% of our expenses are going to veterinary care. So it's third on the list, as it should be the top, but unfortunately, you know how much it can be to rent facilities to be in. So that does take a large chunk at 34%. So our next down is food. So food for the birds. So we get to the birds pretty quickly in terms of expenses, but we are providing a roof over their head and making sure that we have, we only have one paid employee, and that's Brianna, and making sure that there's quality of care, which is one of the reasons why we pay her, because believe it or not, you want continuance and you want quality for those expenses. And of course, we have we do have we're very transparent, so we'd be more than happy to share the numbers afterwards if you want to look a little more closer. Because I mean, sometimes I get curious, but I don't have a whole lot to look at except for Mike in Iowa. He publishes his numbers, and actually, I was relieved to see that he does that, because it's kind of nice to know. Okay, line of demarcation. What do you guys spend on X, Y, and Z? So it's not to say that others don't do it. It's just we want to raise the bar.
For money coming in, your general donations make up 63% of what Papayago lives off of. We cannot survive without you. And I want to say thank you again for making this pledge drive so successful, and for joining us tonight. We have a couple other people saying hi. Hi, Henry. Thank you guys so much for joining us and for donating and being a part of the rescue. As of 11/22, our expenses were $106,366. That is actually down from last year. We've been working hard to make sure that the money is going to the right place. So that is actually down $29,000.
Let me just tell you, the reason why that's down so much is because we're actually doing a lot of our own vet teching. So we draw blood. Brianna has been very good about making, and then also, we haven't mentioned our hero, our hero, Dr. Julia Hill for PetSake. She's been a godsend.
She absolutely has been. If you are looking for local vetting, she is one of our top recommendations. She's been coming out to the rescue. She's been working right beside me. She has made a huge difference to the vetting of the rescue. And I think that the rescue overall is healthier and more productive. Is that the right way?
I would say that we're definitely, we're not just giving money out, throwing money at vetting, but we're actually spending the dollars more wisely. If that's possible when you are paying a vet's office just to draw blood, you know, to send out tests. We have been doing our own disease testing, but now we're looking at being more getting the information so that we utilize our resources such as Dr. Jules much more wisely, and having her do diagnostic work, and saying, okay, help us create an action plan. And that's all for her. So we're spending the money a little more wisely, and certainly we're not just throwing it just to pay a vet tech to draw blood, which we can do. And our lab is MyCore, which is really very reliable. Other vets use them, and they are quickly becoming a leader in the avian space. So hats off to Dr. Jules, our hero, because she's really helped us gain more knowledge by working with us on everything from beak to toenails. I mean,
oh yeah,
everything. And definitely, she really brings a lot to the table, along with her own love of birds and her interest in progressing their care.
She has her own little parakeets.
She does.
And anybody who likes parakeets,
yeah,
anybody who is willing to work with parakeets, we love you. Parakeets are our number one surrendered bird.
Number one, by far.
So moving forward, I do want to quickly touch on needs, wants, and desires for this coming year. A couple things includes a dishwasher. If anybody can help us procure an industrial dishwasher, we're always trying to work on being more productive, using our time more wisely. And a dishwasher, a floor sweeper would come in really handy if anyone just happens to have one just hanging out, and you're like, oh,
we're sweeping all the time.
Yes.
And I mean, you guys know, you have birds at home. We're not telling you, just multiply that. That's all.
Oh yeah.
And we're constantly, it looks like people come in and they say, when's the last time you swept? And it's like,
we actually did have that happen. We've had people come in and it's like, so you didn't clean all the cages today? And you guys didn't sweep today? Yeah. It's like, actually, no, we did sweep. Believe it or not, there's just a lot more birds here than the ones at home. Not that we're hating. It's just expectations are a little different when you're dealing with 164 birds versus one.
Yeah.
Or two or three. Actually, I think several of our people now are up to 5.
Yeah. Or 7.
Or 7.
Who shall remain nameless out there in East, you know what?
The final things I wanted to touch on are for our needs, wants, and desires include an answering service. And then
I know that sounds bougie, doesn't it?
It does sound bougie, but we get so many
people are like, why don't you answer your phone? Why don't you answer your phone? I never can get anybody on the phone. It's like 1 week.
We're trying.
We're in a steel building. So if I pick up the phone, it doesn't, most likely you're not going to hear me because it's a metal building, steel building. And then the noise.
Zero signal. And macaws and cockatoos in the background don't make for productive phone calls.
No.
Savannah says that we need to have another Zumba-thon for an industrial dishwasher.
Hey.
It's not a bad idea. If you guys missed the first Zumba-thon, you missed out on a great party. Yeah. It was so much fun. I sweated a lot. I know.
I sweat always.
And the next things that we're actually going to be bringing on board in the next year is that we're going to the point we need an official bookkeeper. So if any of our people out there does that professionally, and they want to work with a nonprofit, and especially if you're a bird person that can help break down all the bird needs, we would love to work with you. We would love to talk and see how we can help each other.
We do have a CFO. And so you would be working directly with the CFO and us. You would be kind of like the helping translate our shenanigan receipts to what our CFO politely and gently and creatively put massages together and says, here you go. So
The last thing that we're actually going to be bringing into the new year is that we are going to be looking for part-time help for daily care, another paid position. This is part of how we grow, so that our
get out in
lovely
the community.
get out in the community, so that we know that the homestead is taken care of, so that we can continue on with our other goals of 2023. Speaking of those goals, I will now hand you over to Maria so that she can talk about what 2023 has to offer, unless there's anything from 2022 to go over.
No, but donations were down this year. I wanted to mention that briefly. So we were able to, because we're so agile, I even know what that actually means in the corporate world. So we remained agile to adjust to that. Fortunately, we had we had the right support to help us be agile, because you can be agile, but we do have hard needs like food, bedding, disease testing. Some rescues. I'm not saying I don't know any. So I don't want you to think that I'm naming somebody or I've got somebody in my head. I'm just saying that there might be rescues out there that don't spend the money on disease testing and DNA testing. But that is an expense that we don't feel is optional. So, fortunately for us, 2022, it was a rough year for volunteers. There was a lot of loss in 2022. We were short volunteers, we were short money, but we met a lot of kind people, a lot of generous, loving people, adopters, new adopters. And they're the ones I want to kick off 2023 with, because our adopters are always, they're not a done deal. So just because we adopted to them doesn't mean we're like, okay, bye, have a good life. Our job is not complete. Our job is to support them in doing what can be very difficult work, and that's trying to keep a parrot or more than one parrot happy, and then that's kind of like a misnomer, because who knows really, I mean, their happiness, but keeping them healthy, safe, secure, but also experiencing life. Our adopters try and do bring so much to the table, and so they're the ones who we're kicking off the year with. So we've scheduled a class every month to help support them directly and only them. So if you ever become an adopter, you have access to that. And if you're visiting and you haven't been in our Facebook group recently, please do come back. Because believe me when I tell you that things may be going well today, but you need to you need to make sure that you're checking in, because we're all constantly learning. And as soon as I don't have anything new to tell you or teach you, I can retire. But that ain't going to happen for a while. Because we're still in our infancy in regards to understanding how to care for parrots in captivity in such a way as we're not constantly stepping all over their 5 freedoms or their rights as sentient beings. We do take that very seriously, even in the rescue, in the status, the stasis they're in right now. So the 2023 kicks off with making sure, and their front and center is our adopters, making sure that they have support, that they have access to the newest and latest information on how to care for their birds, and help them adjust, because parrots are prey animals, and they're constantly adjusting and they're constantly dealing with things, and they don't experience pain or anything really the way we do. So January is the Rescue Bird Month. And so this month, we're kicking off a great deal. And why am I going into this in detail? Because this is just like a town hall. It's kind of like overall, this is what we're doing. Because January is very important for birds and birds who, or people who are supporting birds, supporting birds in captivity as well as in the wild, because their numbers are seriously, they're just seriously going south, and we need to do something. When we have more in captivity than we do in the wild, that should be a problem. That should also mean that all of us who have those birds, and you probably do have one, at least one, you need to know how to keep them alive and well. Yeah, they are not going to procreate, and we have no business procreating, getting these birds to breed. That's not what we're here for. That's not what they're in your home for. But their DNA is pretty special. They have purpose. They are original pollinators. Yes, they eat, take a bite, throw it down, and they shit on it, and it grows. That's how it works. So if you're at home trying to get your bird not to waste food,
it's not how it works.
and you can't stop feeding them either. It's just how it rolls. So anyway, so January is a very important month, and we're making it a bang up month of information that will be coming to YouTube. Will be coming to Facebook. We're trying to not be so dependent on Facebook to help us with our education and our raising awareness, because they have algorithms, and as soon as I put a link in there, or if I ask a question, or if I break some rule I don't know about, suddenly nobody's seeing our stuff. And that's, for a nonprofit trying to raise awareness, that's a kiss of death. And many, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only bird rescue. We're not the only bird rescue out there in the U.S. trying to get heard, be seen, not because we have birds to just, we have birds to adopt, but because we need to get you educated. We need to help you understand some of the things that could make having birds go smoother, and help you keep your bird. And that's a large part of what we're trying to do, have always been trying to do, is be able to support you keeping your bird. Keeping a bird for 30 years is not an easy thing.
No.
Think about keeping your teenager for 30 years. God knows. And it's like, come on, honey. Anyway, so our strategy, education, we do want to make sure that we always lead off with education, not adoptions, but education, because we need adopters to be educated. We need surrenderers to think about this, because people get tired of their bird, or they're tired, they're worn out, they've been pissed on and pissed off, and we want to help you not go in that direction with your bird.
Well, like you said, education is the foundation of everything. We educate people before they get a bird so that they can start off on the right foot. Mm-hmm. And then we're educating people so that they can keep their birds in their homes. And, that's a hard thing to quantify. Mm-hmm. Is, how many birds have we kept in a home with through some of the outreach programs and everything. But that's something that we're always trying to work on. And we know that we have touched over 800 birds directly through the rescue.
Yes.
In our years of existence.
Which is our anniversary today.
It is our anniversary today.
Yep. January 1, 2015 is the official day that we kicked off and went live. And
she was like, hey, do you want to start this small, quiet thing that should be no problem at all for you to keep up with? And you just have to play with birds. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that sounds great.
I did not. However, yeah, that it's not been going that bad. So
we have learned many skills along the way.
Mental health is up there. So we're actually doing more to take care of ourselves, so we can do a better job by you. So that when you call and ask for time, like, okay, I can't give you time to tell you about all of the birds in our care. It's like, so tell me about your birds. I can't do that. I just can't. But if you have a problem, or if you have, you need support, of course, that's what we want to do for you. But anyway, so education, we're leading off with education. And so we're also looking at firming up our training and training and helping you train your bird. Of course, I am not trying to replace the likes of Laura Joseph or Lynn Seibert. Or no, no, because I have too. I don't have their gift of whatever that gift is, because it's too pretty. It's done. It's
the gift of that is their whole mission is and that is what they are practiced at. What you get to bring is the first level, the first level of, I have the experience with all these different birds. So most of yours, most of the issues and most of the things people face may be able to be solved with a class, may be able to solved with a couple sessions. Versus there are some things that we do pass on to Laura Joseph or Lynn Seibert in the Atlanta area, so that so that they can sit down with them and they can continue on where we left off. And it's all about a partnership.
Yeah, that's true. I have an extreme amount of patience working with a bird. So I'm actually work with the birds more than I do with people, because they're like foster kids to me. And it just gets me right here. My heart, my throat, my shoulders, my tense stress, because
you're stressed?
No, stress. So so I pull it together, and I have to gauge how a bird is reading me and listening to me, but I also have to be ready and prepared to listen to them and be very patient. And I'm extremely patient. Okay, so maybe you don't think I am, but trust me, I have the patience of Job, whoever that guy is. Just kidding. I have an extreme amount of patience for them. I was a foster kid, had nothing but a bag of my clothes. And these guys, some of them don't even have a bag, don't have a cage, don't have jack. And so immediately I feel like we're on the same foot. And they're not mine. I don't treat them like mine. I treat them like they're my friends. I'm their auntie. And if you know anything about tribals or groups, the auntie is not the mom. The auntie is your go-to when you need support, love. That's not I don't have to be the mom. I'm not going to be the mom. I don't want to be the mom. I know that sounds really bad, but I'm the auntie. I want to love them. I want to help them reach their potential. I want to help them find a good home. I want to see the love and light come on in each other's eyes. And then I go, okay, this is good. This is good. But somebody's going to help the birds get there, because many of them come in and they're accustomed to a different way of doing things, and they have to learn how to interact. They have to learn manners. They have to learn how to take a nut without snatching, how to eat pellet, fresh food. I mean, some of them are seeing a vet for the first time ever in their 20 something years of life, or find out that they're hospice and where their last stop.
And that's part of the rescue, rehabilitate, rehome.
Yeah.
That's part of
the rehabilitation is a really big part. And people go, your job is to get them into homes. I'm like, actually, it's to get them ready for homes. And that can take years, unfortunately, because they're prey animals. So it took you a while to get them into this state or for them to reach this state. And sometimes it takes them a while. If we're doing it organically, if we're doing it at their pace, their speed, to come around. And I know when that happens. I don't know how I know. I didn't take a lesson from someone professional, but I have done a lot of research and done. I've watched people like Laura Joseph and Steve Martin, and I feel like I'm always learning. I'm open to learning, and so what I learn, I kind of bring over to you guys and say, this is what I've learned, because once upon a time I was there on your side of the table. Where somebody was telling me, oh, you don't need to take that bird into a vet ever unless they're sick.
How many times have we heard that? They never saw a vet because they were doing just fine. Well, and
they're
then we
perfectly
get them
healthy.
And then we get them blood work and their chemistry levels are off the charts.
Yeah. So, so we're expanding the educational offerings, but also the training to offer behavioral classes to help on a more one-on-one. But there's also some other things that we offer, like off-contact training for the biters, and because there's some that have mate companion bonds, and so they will go after anyone else but their mate companion. And while that, at first that probably seemed kind of like, whoo, not that, oh, they love me, they just want me. And now you're like, oh God, I can never leave this bird. I can never die. And there are ways. It takes time. It takes patience. But that goes into talking to someone who has compassion for that. And that's the other thing is that we bring compassion. I feel like I hold people accountable, though. And this is where we kind of, sometimes people misunderstand compassion for understanding and judgmental. I'm not judgmental. I want people to be who they are. However, that being said, there's loads of opportunity for us to all learn and grow. And sometimes I just got to call a spade and say, come on, let's go do something else. So we're going to go do something else because that shit has not been working for you. And so that's what we want to do more of is to kind of break it down. I go, okay, what's not working? Why can't you keep your bird and help you try to keep your bird? Because you have to know that you've done everything, and you haven't done everything if you haven't emailed, called, joined some kind of animal behaviorist that has experience with parrots, because parrots are not dogs. They're not mammals. No, just know. If you think you are built to figure this stuff out because you're an apex predator and you're a mammal, no, and stop.
That is the big thing, is that a lot of people think that a lot of the training translate from dogs to birds, or that their experience training their dogs when they were kids will translate into having a bird. And it's a whole other can of worms.
Yes. And so that this year, even more so, we're trying to get out from behind cleaning cages, doing food is to help keep your bird, because while not all 95 of those birds came through our front door, some of them came through the back door, meaning that they were found. We tried so hard to find their owners, and the owners, I don't know that their birds can survive. But this year we're going to do more training and recall training, and we're still trying to find a place where we can actually do flight training in an enclosed area that's like a hangar, so that we can get them exercise. We can teach them recall training. Of course, you can start right in your own house, right from your countertop to your arm. You do not have to wait until you have this huge space. Please don't wait to do it when you have this huge space.
That's not the place to start.
No, that's not the place to start. And you have to build trust, and you have to have a reward system and reinforcers, and you have to know what those are, and you have to understand that they're 1, 2, and 3. Which ones are the highest reinforcers? And this is not my game in town is not that. However, I do encourage everybody. Of course, even our adopters are required to go through these trainings, especially with these bigger birds that will hand your ass to you. I say you have to go through this, because you have to know that you have to avoid that bite. That bite is not mandatory. And you have to build trust, and that takes a year. And so
a year plus.
And so 2023, I have already written an ebook for adopting a rescue bird, and it taught first year, and that's going through the review phase. I want to have that rolled out for 2023 for others other than our adopters, our adopted family, because I think it's important that you understand that there's more to having a bird, and that you have somebody that's on your side, not selling you something, not trying to convince you of something, that you never have to worry that we have an ulterior motive, because we don't make any money. Because let me just, remind you of how we make our money. The adoption fees is a very small percentage of that. And it's not because of bad management. It's just that it takes time to do that. But so 2023, we're going to be rolling out our first ebook, our first publication about having an adopted bird in their first year, because people think within weeks that their bird should love them, hug them, squeeze them, and call them George, and it just won't. And that expectation just we just want to help level set that. That's all. It's not. I don't want you having these fairy tale thoughts. Even cockatiels, holy crap, they're just wonderful little birds. But some of them, a lot of them have been kind of relegated to the back bedroom with the kids. And when they come to a rescue, by that time, they've got a lot going, a lot to say. And so, that's part of that education and compassion, and trying to make sure that we're helping you adjust and helping you so you can help your new bird adjust. And even if you don't get them from us.
Well, and that goes into that we're always working on building our community, and that we are working on that these people who come to us for education, who want to work with us, work with somebody who has touched over 600 birds.
Yeah.
I think that's worth something. But they're all part of our community, and we learn from everybody, and we all grow together, because these are not just pets. These are our companions, and they are so smart that they'll run rings around us and reach out and untie my shirt and pull on my pants and
aprons
gone.
Yeah, jewelry. I'm wearing jewelry. I had to actually think about it. Wear jewelry. And so this 2023 is is kind of renewed vigor to try to get in front of people before they get to the point where they've fallen out of love with their birds. They're ready for a divorce. The D word is really tough to pull everybody back emotionally. So, yeah, that once you've divested yourself of the emotional accountability, responsibility to your bird, it's really pretty hard to reset that. So we want to get to you before then so that we can help you. And will it be like a cakewalk? No. There's work to be done. But at least you'll be working in different ways than you have been thinking. I've tried everything, or I've done everything, or I went to YouTube and I watched The Parrot Wizard, or I watched Cohen and other people. There's a lot of good people out there, a lot of great people out there. But why isn't it working? What? Because your bird and your bird and your family are unique to a large degree. You're dealing with a personality. You have DNA, the basis of how they behave. That you're not changing. However, above that, a large personality of this bird that wants to be heard and seen and loved, but not always the way we love them. So they want to be understood, and there's ways that you can do that. Do I have all the answers? No. No.
But that's one of the great things, though, is that you don't have all the answers, but you have the knowledge base to help them find answers.
Yes. Well,
or refer them to somebody else.
Right. It's a problem. It's a problem that you're not alone in anymore. And so the other thing is now so we're gone to the pets. We're doing pet status, pet care, companion care. So we're bringing in an attorney for trust, wills, and what's the other term? I forgot the other term. But we're going to be interviewing her this month of January, so that this attorney can help get you understanding that you need to provide for your bird for the future, because we have the numbers out there. The portion of young people versus the older people. Our older people are retiring, and they need help and they need support with their companions, and we're not prepared. There's not enough of the rescues across nationwide to prepare and be prepared for the onslaught of birds that are in their care right now. There's a high number of them. Just in our area alone, we have a couple of women who have 60 and 90 birds respectively. If the animal control called us and said, we need to ship over 60 birds, or you need to come and help us with 60 birds, we'd be like, no. So we're built, but we are understanding that we do need to now become, and I think, East has a lot to do with this, because East up in Tennessee, she's a sanctuary and she does some rescues. And she's really kind of highlighted for me, along with some others. I mean, I knew this intuitively, but I see her more in action, I think, backing it up, that we need to have more sanctuaries that don't just, and I'm not saying that other rescues do this or sanctuaries do this, but put them in a big pen and let them have at it. So guess what we did? We recruited Allison Hedgecoth, former animal director of animal husbandry and board member of Noah's Ark. And she's joined our board, and she's going to help us outlay our sanctuary. We have a sanctuary bird now. It's the parakeets, because they're our number one most surrendered bird and least likely to be adopted. And they're since we switched them over, because we were told by many gurus they have to be fed seed, and when we moved them over to pellet, we saw their survivability go up tremendously.
We've seen so many less fatty masses.
Yeah.
And the thing with the parakeet is that they're so small that even just a what is relatively a small fatty mass, it pushes on their other organs, which decreases function.
Yeah.
And so now that we have them moved over to pellet, and they're also flying, now that we have them in the flight, a walk-in aviary that they're flying, we've seen their health just skyrocket.
And they become more friendly. Like
Yes.
they're landing on us, visiting. So they get to choose.
They hang on my hair and look down and be like, what are you doing?
They choose when they get to interact. And so because of that, they seem to be, because everyone's afraid of their birds flying around and that they're not going to have to work with them. But so anyway, we're really excited about having Allison join us and help us oversee this very vital part of our next leg of our journey as our sanctuary. Which means that we're going to be looking at raising capital for our, it's going to be a lot more, but we're going to have to build because we need to advance parrot welfare and care. And even as a rescue, can't just line up a bunch of cages and leave them in there and call it a day and wait for the adoption. We know that going through that process can take time. It takes time because the bird is also making the decision, and we've had birds literally turn their backs on meeting people for years until they found somebody
until they found that right match.
Yeah, until they like that person. And I'm not going to force them into anything sooner than that. I just won't. We've had people try to buy birds from us, and we say, you go to these stores. Now that I mentioned these pet stores, guess who I'm going to also be looking at through Stacy. Stacy Fujii is our Director of Governmental Affairs, and she is going to be helping us craft our message to Cobb County that we're asking them to start seriously considering stopping sales, box store sales of birds. I don't care if they're parakeets. I don't care if they're doves. I don't care if they're and we've cockatiels, green cheeks, and people are like, oh, I couldn't leave them in there. They were so bad. And they adopt, and this is how they get these sales.
The next one through. And we can also prove that these stores are putting a strain on the county because of how many loose parakeets there are and how many parakeets that we get in that, where did they get them from? They got them from PetSmart. Without the proper cage, without the proper food, without the proper education. And
we have to start standing up and actually making changes. And so, and a lot of people want to make changes. They don't know where to start. They're like, well, Maria, does that make sense? Oh, okay, just go after the box stores and not the breeders. And I understand where you're coming from. I do. But eventually we're going to have to actually, as a community, as, if you are waiting for government to make that call, I invite you to take a look at the USDA conversations that were had this past year about how to treat parrots better, and how many breeders came forward lobbying for no governmental control, which has not been. There's been no control, but there's no, if you think we're getting government funding of any sort, no. So they just pump them out. They get to decide, and we have a huge Sun Pet is a seller of birds, baby birds, a lot of other animals too. But I'm focusing on letting all of Georgia, in my state, know If you are going to be working with a parrot, if you're going to display parrots in substandard situations, like some of these vet offices that insist on having parrots as part of their look, or school, I'm sorry, I it's not open really for debate. I know that what you know now, it seems like, well, that's kind of tough, Maria. That's kind of a hard stance. But if you understand how many of these birds perish early because people don't know what they're doing and they're putting them in substandard situations. And if you don't agree with me, meet me at Cobb County's town hall meetings, or whenever we finally get in front of them. Go ahead and meet me there. We'll have conversations. I'll bring cocos, and I'll bring some of these parakeets that they've had a rough time of it. And that's not, it should not be status quo for dealing with human people or humans, but it is. And so we need to find ways of protecting them much better. And I think when they become a form of inventory, then we lose sight of that. And Petco has inventory, and we're getting their inventory on a regular basis. And I'm sorry, PetSmart, we were the first in the nation to become be
part of the PetSmart charities.
PetSmart, yeah, what she said. And I don't hold them any ill will. Dr. Hess is a part of their. She's trying to get them to be a little more woke. But I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait for them to get that conscience of sales. So that's the other thing we'll be working on in 2023.
So you've touched on that, we're touching on so many different points of that we're going to be looking to build, and that's going to be an event of its own for raising capital funds.
Yeah, we're not building this year.
No, but that we're going to be working towards that. We're going to be working with Stacy and Allison. Do you want to talk about the next board member that is joining and what she's going to be offering?
So we have Chio, or Rocio Wallace, and
she's watching.
Hi. She is our events and planning director of events and planning, but she's also our committee chair for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because we really, really want to make sure that we're reaching as far into our communities as possible. And certainly we're not just talking about age groups. We're also talking about groups that are underrepresented in Cobb County or DeKalb County or Fulton County or whatever. We're talking about all of Georgia. We are representing or talking to all of Georgia. Even though we're pretty far from Augusta, it is not uncommon for us to be contacted by somebody in Augusta or Athens or Gainesville.
And that goes back to how important community is, and how we're at the start of this community of bird caretakers, bird lovers. So it doesn't matter color, sexual orientation. We have a wonderful group of board members, and we come from all walks of life. We have LGBTQ, we have disabilities, we have different races, and we all get to come together for the birds. And that is where I'm really excited with Chio and the DEI committee to make sure that continues to be the forefront of Papayago, is that we're bird lovers first. And that we get to include everybody in that. We're not accidentally excluding anybody.
No, and we certainly, so we have to walk our talk, right? So we can talk that game and then practice bias all the time. And that, I came out beginning of COVID saying I had a bias based on all of that was going on with COVID. And because of course, along with COVID, a lot of other things was going on, and of course, it's a journey. You're always finding ways that you've been programmed, and you have to deprogram, just like you do with anything else in your life. You have to unlearn things to learn new things, and we're really excited, very happy to have Chio and her committee. So if you're interested, reach out to her. She's on. You can email her. Her email is on our board members page. If you want to help with that, because um, it's not as much as there's no rules when you have love of an animal, high regard for an animal. There's no rules, but we want to make sure our policies, our documentation, our attitudes support what we say. We want to walk our talk. We want to call a spade a spade. And if we're not living up to what we should be doing as good, conscious, community-minded individuals, as well as an organization, we want to make sure that we learn so we can do better, because we do want to be more inclusive.
So, Maria, we have actually been live for 56 minutes already.
Holy moly.
So I know, right? But is there anything else that you want to enforce on in the last few minutes we have with our friends? So I'm sure if we go over an hour, not everybody will mind, right, guys?
Well, right? Reinforcing, I would just want to say that education is a multi-pronged. There's a lot of different ways of approaching that, but 2023 is going to be much more succinct educational opportunities. But you have to know, getting people go, I wish you would have told me. And that is really difficult to do. There's
a lot to tell you. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. And so that means that we have to have constant contact and conversation. So we're working on securing locations throughout all of these communities. I say all of these communities. I mean, eventually I'd like to say we're in every county at some point. But that we are reaching out to the communities, inviting people to come. Then they join us, and then we talk about how we can help them do better by their birds. And it isn't about money. It's about your time, your investment of and how you spend your time. It's not, of course, you're doing good stuff. You're trying very hard, and some of it's working and some of it's not. Or that you're afraid that you don't have a will, or that you don't have a trust, or you don't have an organization that you can trust to advise you how much money should I be setting aside for that. Those conversations need to be had, and calling me up in a battery of 15 calls in an 8-hour period is probably not the best strategy. And an email is good, and you can say, well, this is where I want to join this conversation if you're having it. And if you're not having it, why not? Those are all perfectly great things to say, but send them in an email, send them to us. Some text gets pretty crazy. Okay. Just so you know, text gets kind of crazy, but send it in an email. I may be late getting to you, but I need to let you know that we're constantly working on a lot of other things, and we're trying to actually increase more people that this will go to, so you're not funneling it down to one person or two people. We're actually trying to share.
So would you say that the first thing would actually be to sign up for our newsletter?
I was just going to say that. Thank you for mentioning that. We do have a newsletter now that's going to have more elements of did you know, or things that you thought you knew, but you should know. And if you want to know something, also send an email after you get your newsletter. Now you can wait But you can also send your request for information in to the to feedback or to Brianna, because I'm gonna throw that on her, that you want to know about, and that will work to address that, because like letting you know which doctors are really seeing birds, not just giving it,
the old college try.
yeah, the old college try, because I forget people don't know that vets will see a bird and go, yep, they look great. Yeah, that's good. That'll be $163, please. Buys you absolutely nothing. So yes, So um, share your thoughts or your questions so that we can actually start fitting that into our mainstream communication, educational opportunities, and how we, and also um, will be able to target what you want to know instead of having to try to scour the Facebook. Don't scour the Facebook for the info. Just don't.
Facebook does have a lot of great information that you've added on. And Savannah just asked a good question. Is it just the volunteers in the newsletter or doctors too? Savannah, our newsletter actually is available to everyone. So we do have a link for you guys to sign up. We have posted it on Facebook a few times. I need to double check. It is easily accessed on our website as well, that everybody is available to join our newsletter.
Yeah. The newsletter, okay, so it might kind of like, you're like, oh, what's this email? Do I really have to read it? I don't have time to read it right now. Just save it. Just put it in a folder, save it for when you have time. Because it's not something that you should look at and go, well, there's nothing in here for me. It's not always about, it's like remember when we used to get Flock Call? Or what's that other book?
Bird Talk.
Bird
Talk magazine.
Oh, I could not wait to get that magazine.
That's how we got started.
Yes, I could not wait to get that magazine. I bought it. I didn't care if the cover was relevant to me. Save it, review it, peruse it at your leisure. It's not meant to be something that clogs up your email. It's meant to be set aside for you to take time to review it, see if there's anything useful. And then save it, because here's why. Because what you didn't need today,
you might need tomorrow.
You might need tomorrow. And if you're going to wait for us to send you that info, it might be a while. It might be a minute. So you might want to just put it off to the side, put it in a folder, and then you can do a keyword search on it, and voila, there you go. Yeah.
Well, Maria, thank you so much for your time tonight. She normally would be on the computer working, responding to emails, and whipping up that next social media post. She does all of them, pretty much.
January is the month for birds. So you're going to hear it and see a lot. Please forgive me but share it, because there's so many people who just don't know. And you may know, well, let me just tell you, so many people don't. And you can't just worry about your own birds. You have to worry about them all. I'm sorry. Us as birdie ambassadors, that's our job now, is to worry about them all. Because once you love one, you just love them all.
It's like potato chips. Right? Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, honey.
All right. Again, if you guys have questions that you want to discuss, feel free to shoot us an email, sign up for that newsletter, and we hope to be talking with you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night, everyone.